My people, things they change for this our Nigeria. Things they change. Oh. When me and they grow, they come. The upbringing was different. And the way they normally teach us about tradition, it was like after God, tradition is not the second. But this video I'm going to give you, it just changed everything. Ex-President Olusegun Obasanjo, he tell the elders and the traditional rulers, he say, oh yeah, when I get up, what will I wait for? This is unbelievable. I was surprised when I saw this video and I decided to bring it to you. Please watch and leave your comment. See you.
Religious. They are asking for an apology. Let me take some more tweets. This is from Baron, who wrote, I strongly believe the instruction was for the kings to stand and greet the governor. OBJ stated that the Yorubas respect two things amongst others. 1, age. 2, position and status. OBJ also stated that the governor is more powerful than any king. Well, Kayode wrote, Obasanjo is not defending Yoruba tradition here. He's defending the colonial legacy that makes kings insubordinate to elected officials, that and also the atenuje of most Yoruba traditional rulers. I can't imagine Obasanjo ordering the Obi of Onitsha, or Oba of Benin, or Awujale.
So, I mean, it's been trending, yes. OG, and very contentious as well, because this is quite a sacred topic, especially the way that the Yorubas and I would say many Nigerian cultures revere their obas, even though they don't have constitutional powers, but they do have immense influence amongst their people. Let me take that from the last tweet about if you wouldn't behave like this in terms of, and that's with all due respect to the former president himself. I recall when he went to visit the Olu of Ori just after he became Olu. President Obasanjo voluntarily, knelt before the Olu, and that iconic picture was trending as well. And so if he was willing to do that for the Olu of Ori, what was the difference here? Because he had also talked about the long history and the, the relationship he had with the father of the Olu of Ori, who's also a traditional, he's a king, as well. So it wouldn't have, I think it was the way and manner in which he had done it. Even if, as he mentioned, Yoruba people, the Yoruba culture respects age and status. He spoke to them as if he was speaking to ordinary boys or just men and almost reprimanding them. And we know just how highly the people revere their obas, and also the traditional connotations around disrespect of the crown and the king. You would notice that initially the obas seemed to be laughing when they sat down, but this oba in the third one, in the blue and white outfit, was obviously upset after he had sat down, following what had transpired. Now there have been reactions, including calls for him to apologize. Yes. His wife, Mrs. Taiwo Obasanjo, has written a letter apologizing, almost as if she was removing herself and her children from whatever consequences these obas have promised the former president. And others have said, oh, just let it be. He's an elder statesman, so just allow it to go. But I think the reason why they will respond is so that it doesn't set a precedent for the denigration of traditional and historical institutions, which we respect very much and hold very highly in our nation. All right, Dr. Abati, some people are saying it's the obas that they blame for even standing up for Obasanjo.
A number of things here. First is protocol. And that was where President Obasanjo seems to be coming from in an additional exclusive interview that he has granted on this subject. He was not asking them, the Obas, to stand up for him. He was asking them to respect Governor Seyi Makinde. And from the exclusive story that I've read this morning, he said when the governor arrived, everybody stood up. The Obas refused to stand up. When it was time for the governor to make his speech, he, Obasanjo, and other people stood up. The Oba still sat down. It was at that point, in an extended video, that he now, took over the role of the Sergeant Major of the occasion and asked the Obas to stand up and to sit down. So he said he was defending protocol, that no matter how young a governor may be, protocol shows that when the governor arrives, you stand up. Now, the other thing that people have brought up is culture and tradition under culture and tradition, Obas are regarded, traditional rulers are regarded as representatives of deities. They are considered sovereign deities, on earth. And for that reason, a king is venerated, a king is to be respected. And it is because of the harshness of President Obasanjo's tone that people are saying, you shouldn't speak to traditional fathers like that. That's the second part of it. The third point about this is the whole point about tradition versus modernity. Okay, traditionally, Obas are supposed to be, worshipped and all of that. But the situation has changed. Since colonialism, since the military took over, Obas are regarded as, appointees of the state government. They collect salaries from state government. So as far as constituted authorities are concerned, traditional rulers are no better than people working in the Ministry of Chieftaincy and Local Government Affairs.
This is so wrong.
Quickly, this is not the first time all of this will happen. In 1953, Chief Bode Thomas, when he became the chairman of the Oyo Council, Legislative Council, he went for a meeting and Obas were there. Everybody stood up to welcome him. But at that time, Oba Adeniro Adeyemi II, Alaafin of Oyo, refused to stand up. He sat down. So Chief Bode Thomas reportedly turned towards him and asked him, who the hell are you? Who is this person? Who is sitting down when, the chairman of the council has arrived? Okay, the rest of the story is well known to those who know the details. In 1957, Chief Obafemi Awolowo, in the Western House of Chiefs, entered, right? All the traditional rulers stood up because, the big man had arrived. But one of the kings refused to stand up. And that was Oba Ademuwagun Adeshida II, the Deji of Akure. So, reportedly, Awolowo was annoyed. And he asked him, he said, who are you? Can't you see that I just entered? You are sitting down. And that one stood up and said, well, I'm the Deji of Akure, Adeshida II. And that you and I studied law in England. Look at the people sitting down here, Oba Kenzwa, all these elderly kings. So, because you are premier, so we should all stand up for you. And that particular Deji of Akure walked out on Chief Obafemi Awolowo. But we understand the matter was settled later with the intervention of the inimitable Chief Nnamdi, Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe. So in this particular case, Oluwo of Iwo has asked Chief Obasanjo to apologize. Well, he's not likely to apologize, but I'm sure they will find accommodation. But it's just a lesson about how the traditional institution has been lowered in modern times.
And that is my
a matter
point.
that is well dramatized in Wole Soyinka's Kongi's Harvest.
Yes, and that is my point. Should traditional rulers be degraded this way? And what gives the presidents and governors powers over them in this manner? What is it? Is it the Constitution?
They pay their salaries.
I mean, it's really wrong. I mean, why should our kings be standing up for just public officers? Rufai, quickly so we can...
So, there are two sides to it. Yes, we've heard the argument about protocol and all of that by President Obasanjo and all of that. Two things. One, the first thing I'll say is we shouldn't denigrate our traditional institution.
No.
But our traditional institution too should not denigrate itself. Because in all of this, we know the antecedents. How did it start? It started when the British colonialists came in. When the traditional institution was fighting with itself, Kosoko and Akitoye. And the British came to settle about the HMS Prometheus in the late 1800s. And they took over Lagos, started bringing in their authority and all of that. And we know that story as it continues. But what I'm also saying is, they should not denigrate. And we also know that the process of bringing traditional rulers have been politicized.
Yeah.
So most of these political heads, they reign very strongly, writ large over this traditional ruler because they're the ones that put them in sometimes. Even traditional leadership position is based on political patronage now. It's people that are close to you, you put there as kings. And we have history replete with people not even respecting traditional rights. You remember the case of Oni of Ife? And the current president, that handshake. So there are many cases that are bound. But also we've had cases of allegations against traditional rulers that take all sorts of substances and do the likes. So the traditional rulers too should please protect the institution, and we do not support anything against the traditional rulers, any denigration or disrespect, but they should protect the institution. We've heard about scandals of traditional rulers and things like that. So they should also carry themselves with that embodiment that they are the Igbakeji Orisha.
Well,
what it means is they are second in command to the gods of the land. But please, both parties should calm things that we should appease both parties. I wanted to say more. You will take the next story.
Well, let's take another story. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu last week nominated Yemi Cardoso as the new governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria. Cardoso's nomination comes 3 months after Godwin Emefiele was suspended as governor of the Apex Bank. The 66-year-old